There we go. We are live. Live and alive.
So, how long ago did you watch the Substance?
I wanted to say I watched it, when was it? I think a week or I can't remember when it came out. A week or two ago, something like that.
Same.
Last week, I think, yeah.
What's funny is even though I watched it like over a week ago, it's still fresh in my mind.
Yeah, I'm going off of memory.
That's how you make a memorable movie.
Yeah.
Totally. Should we recap it? Oh, spoiler warning, by the way. This is a spoiler discussion. Go and watch The Substance. It's really, really good. It's in the movie theater, and it's also on an app called Mubi, so you actually don't even have to leave your house to watch it if you want to. I don't know if Mubi has like a free trial period. You might be able to do a free trial and watch it, but it's worth it. I think it's one of the best movies of the year. That's my opinion. What did you think, Kara?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it definitely took turns that I wasn't expecting. I mean, I went into it thinking it was just going to be like a standard bio horror, and I got way more out of it.
Same. I thought it was going to be more psychological horror. The way the trailer looked, I didn't know it was body horror when I went into it. So it was a great surprise because I love body horror.
Yeah, I mean, it's a genre we don't see too much. I know Cronenberg and his son do it. I want to say Yuzna does, and I don't know if there's anyone else.
Frank Henenlotter, who did Frankenhooker and
okay.
Basket Case and Brain
okay.
Ghost, and there's somebody else, Stuart Gordon, who did Man Eater.
Okay, yeah, I like Stuart Gordon. I think Stuart Gordon, and I mostly think The Pit and the Pendulum.
Yeah, I think of that, and also Castle Freak. I love Castle Freak.
Oh, I need to rewatch it. I watched it when it was first out, so I was still very young, and I had like I disliked it, but I'm sure as an adult seeing it with like new eyes, I might feel differently about it.
That just happened to me today. I was rewatching Rosemary's Baby this morning, and it's a movie I never liked when I was a kid. I remember watching it with my grandmother when I was a kid and thinking it was so slow and boring.
Yes.
I was too young to appreciate what was happening in it.
Yeah, it is very slow, but you have to remember it's more a product of its time, and it had that whole moral panic thing going for it.
Oh yeah. But also it's just more of a movie that appeals more to a mature mind. It's not something that a kid is going to want to sit through. And I was just too young watching. I was probably like 12 watching it on cable TV. I just wasn't mentally ready to watch it.
Yeah, I've had that before. I think I first watched it when I was 15. And same thing, I thought, this movie is so slow. It's like, why do people talk about it? And I already knew the ending because it had been ruined for me.
Yeah. Same. I knew what was going to happen, so I guess that takes something out of it compared to like a 1968 audience. When they first watched it, I'm sure it was pretty shocking.
Yeah.
It's a great week in New York. Like I kind of wish they would do more apartment horror. And now I see how I know this is a tangent, guys, but I see how Annabelle took some of the things from Rosemary's Baby.
I've only seen it once, and truth be told, I don't remember anything about Annabelle.
I just remember the apartment scenes where the lady was in the apartment and she was going down to the basement, and I feel like it was a little bit inspired by that, but amongst other things. But so if y'all were first time watching us, know that I have ADHD and sometimes I go on tangents, but I always bring it back. So we were bringing it back to The Substance.
Yeah.
Give me more. Like that was really, really impressive.
I liked it. I don't want to like start with spoilers, so I'm trying to hold off like mentioning certain things at least until we get more into the conversation.
Oh, I'll just say her performance was really, really strong. Like I said in my review that she kind of reminds me of when Toni Collette was in Hereditary. That type of performance that if it wasn't in a horror movie, it would be nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, I know horror never gets any love. I
Mhm.
think there was only I can't remember which one, but I want to say there was at least one film that was nominated, but it didn't get anything. Big surprise.
I think it might have been The Exorcist. I want to say it was
Maybe.
The Exorcist. But that was like the filmmaking in that was undeniable. Like it was so amazing, it was undeniable that they couldn't ignore that.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
think The Omen might have been nominated for score.
maybe. Oh, and speaking of the score, the substance, because I saw the score is on vinyl. I love collecting film scores on vinyl, but
Mhm.
I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I really liked the movie, and then I'm thinking to myself, do I really need the vinyl? And then third thought is, I really don't remember the film score. Like it didn't stick with me, which tells me I don't need it. But
I have to agree. I can't remember much of the score at all, or if
mhm.
it was in a lot of scenes. I'm sure there was, but I think it was so subdued that you just don't notice it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't remember anything about it. Like I can't say, oh, this film had great atmosphere because the score
Mhm.
had this kind of tones, or it's just I'm drawing a blank on it.
Mhm. It's not like one of my favorite scores is the Poltergeist score. Like I can listen to
Oh,
that score and tell you what part of the movie, what scene in the movie that score goes to because it's so iconic to me.
yeah. I mean, my two favorite scores, I like Phantasm and I love Cat People.
Oh, I have to rewatch Cat People. That's another one I saw. My parents actually took us to the drive-in, and I think it was the second movie that played. So
Hmm.
I only remember a little bit of it because I think I fell asleep on it, but I have to rewatch it as an adult.
Yeah, I was a kid and I fell asleep in the middle of it. I remember the last thing I saw was the scene with the panthers that they were up in the tree.
Hmm. So I have to rewatch that one. I do like the score for Hellraiser. That one, the first
Oh,
Hellraiser.
that one's beautiful. Oh, and Candyman.
Yes, yes, yes. That score is haunting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. But this movie, yeah, the score did not stand out for me. But what stood out were the visuals. Um,
Yes.
I like balance, so a lot of the scenes were very symmetrical, which always looks really beautiful to me. But I think the production design stood out too, like the colors and how everything was laid out.
Mm-hmm.
Art controls, like it was really very, very interesting to look at. Even that bathroom.
Oh, it reminded me of Stanley Kubrick. All the red walls.
Yes,
Um,
I think that was intentional. I think that red wall hallway, the way there's that funky pattern on the carpet. I was like, oh, that pattern is kind of remind me of the pattern in the Overlook Hotel.
yeah. Um, I can't remember what scene it was, but I think it was also a bathroom that had the red in it.
Um, there's there's two. There was a bathroom at the studio. I think that might have been the color for one, and the bathroom at our house was all white tile.
Yes. Yeah.
I was watching someone's review, and they said that the bathroom in our house reminded them of what the bathroom from Saw must have looked like when it was new. That's a
Yeah.
great description. I wish I could remember who said that. I would credit them. If y'all remember who said that, post it in the comments.
Oh, and then really quick, Tony Man was saying, only score I remember. Oh, darn, I'm having trouble reading today. Only score I remember I have and had as a ringtone. Oh, One Missed Call. I haven't seen that in forever.
Mhm.
I had One Missed Call as my ringtone now. Carol Ann's theme back in the day.
Mhm.
Mm. Yeah. Whist Call, I don't remember too well, but I remember the story.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
but
remember there
same
was
thing, Poltergeist.
yeah, there was a remake, but I don't remember much about the remake. But I do remember the original on this call.
I know a lot of people hated the remake for Poltergeist. I watched it anyway. I'm like, I didn't think it was that bad.
I just thought it was kind of forgettable. Like it's not memorable to me. I watched it, I barely remember it, and it's a fairly recent movie.
I want to say at least 10 years ago, but for me, that's still new.
Yeah, me too. Chillers Theater is here. They say hello and looking forward to your review. Just so you know, Chelsea, we are going to get into spoilers. So I hope you've already seen the movie. But what I'll do is I'll do a. Well, do you think we should do a recap, or should we just continue talking as we are?
um, I mean, the best way I can sum it up is a fading actress. I'm saying actress, but she's a more like an aerobics instructor. But she's this fading prominent person in her career. She's still well looked upon, but basically upper management is looking to replace her because of her age, which upsets her. And then later she runs across something that someone had snuck into one of her pockets saying, "This thing changed my life." It's on a USB video, which it's an ad for that substance stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And basically from there, it's like this Jekyll and Hyde thing. She's living a double life, from what the substance winds up doing, which I don't want to spoil that just yet. And then towards the end of the movie, it like really, really becomes crazy. It's kind of like if The Fly threw up.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned that in my review. There's a specific scene that I think is an homage to The Fly.
Yes.
But I think she actually was an actress because of the awards that were on her mantle, and
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking she might have been maybe inspired by Jane Fonda, because Jane Fonda was an actress that
Yeah.
in the 80s had exercise DVDs and stuff. Or I guess they
Yeah.
were, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I had one of her workout videos. I like how she incorporated yoga, but it was one of those things you had to be advanced or you would hurt yourself.
Oh wow. Mm-hmm. And now she's
Um,
gone back to acting. I believe that's her that's on Frankie and Gracie.
I'm
It's
not
with
sure.
it's a sitcom with Lily Tomlin about these two
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
these two older women that they share a beach house. It's a pretty cool show.
yes. I saw the first season of that, and I want to say she was also in that movie from Amazon, 80 for Brady.
Yeah, she probably was. I think they both were. I think Lily Tomlin was in that one too. Yeah, I think they
Yeah,
both
she
were.
was. Yeah, I like how Lily Tomlin and Sally Field work together. I think they're a good combination, which is my
Yeah.
main reason for watching it.
Hmm. And I was just thinking when it was 80 for Brady, because those women are around 80 years old. I think they're Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin are like 79, 80 years old, which is
Yeah,
great that they're still in it, so have so much vigor at that age. And
yeah,
I was surprised at the age of, like, the character in this that Demi Moore plays is supposed to be turning 50, because they let her know on her 50th birthday that
yeah.
that they think that she's old, which really
Well,
is,
it was more she overheard it because the women's restroom I think was being cleaned, so she snuck into the men's room, and
yeah.
Dennis Quaid's character, who is upper management, just started talking shit about her, which upset
Mhm.
her, obviously.
The funny thing about the movie is it's a little bit fantastical in that they waited till 50. Realistically, in Hollywood, they're doing that shit at 35.
Hmm.
Like, they literally have 35-year-old women playing the mothers of 28-year-old women. Like, really?
I mean, I think that speaks highly of the character. I mean, you have to be a legend to still
Oh
be
yeah.
around that long. Like Cindy Crawford still gets modeling jobs,
Mhm.
not as much as she used to, but people still think of her.
Yeah. Her and Naomi Campbell still walking
Hmm.
that place.
Yes. Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh, but in real life, Demi Moore is 61, which,
Yeah.
like, I was surprised because she looks amazing.
She does. She looks great. I'm like, man, I wish my thighs were as thin as hers. I'm like, I feel like thunder thighs compared to her.
Mm. She's actually at this age older than all four castmates of the Golden Girls. It tells
Wow.
you what they were only in their 50s.
Hmm.
The
But
youngest
she still looks really good. And I mean, for the Demi Moore enthusiast, you actually get a nude scene, so you
oh
actually get to
yeah.
take a look at her, what she looks like now.
Well, I was saying to myself that I believe that she showed more in this movie than she did in Striptease.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think she did striptease right after she got her boob job too.
Hmm. But it's pretty brave of her to take on a role like this, because a lot of actresses would have turned it down just based on
Yes.
the principle of the men saying that they're past their prime, And I love the juxtaposition of that with showing how repulsive and disgusting Dennis Quaid's character looked. Like, he was
Oh,
filmed in such a way that he just looks repulsive.
Yes, that one scene where he's eating the shrimp, and I'm like, it just sounds so sloppy. It's kind of like it sounds like a sloppy porn.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting feedback. I'm gonna try my I have some earbuds that have a microphone on it. I'm gonna see if that takes away the.
Yeah, but I think that that scene with the shrimp, it was filmed that way, like it was meant to be like overly gross, just to emphasize what a sleazy character he is.
Exactly.
And if I remember correctly, the alter ego of Demi Moore, I think he was even hitting on her, if I remember correctly.
Yes, he was. There's a scene um, where he walks up to the altar of Demi Moore. What was her character's name? It was something short, like Sue. I think it was Sue.
It was Sue.
And it's him and a bunch of producers that are all elderly. Like all the producers are more elderly than what he is, and they're looking at her in such a lecherous way. Like they're just
Yeah.
smiling at her in such a creepy way.
Oh, and she goes in for her audition, and they're like, "Well, at least this one has everything in the right place."
Yes.
And I'm like, it makes me think about like the girl who auditioned before. They're like great dancer, but everything was in the wrong place. And I'm like, did she have like those torpedo boobs where they point in opposite directions? It's like, what possibly could have been wrong with her?
Hmm. Well, they alluded to something about her nose. They were
Oh,
like,
okay.
I wish her boobs are what are. I wish her boobs were where her nose is." And I'm like, "That's a weird thing to say." But then at the end of the
Like,
movie, it kind of comes back.
oh yeah, yeah. I'm oh, and then what was it? I think even out the mouth, one boob winds up like she vomits up a boob or something, or no, it
Hmm.
comes out the eye.
Hmm. So what happens with the substance when she receives it is she is given instructions, and the instructions are very strict. That she has 7 days as herself and 7 days as her younger self, which is Sue, and cannot violate this rule. But unfortunately, her younger self Sue gets very greedy and does violate this, and that's when things go very very wrong.
Yeah. I do like how they show that Sue also suffered from the side effects. Like she's filming the next video for that workout series, and she gets like this big bubble that pops out of her butt.
Hmm.
But I think that's the only time we ever see any repercussions. That it's more we see it on Demi Moore because she's kept in like this stasis or something like I sleep mode something.
Yeah. Well, what happens for those of you that are ready for? Are we ready for the spoilers?
I guess so. I mean, it's kind. I find it hard to talk about this movie without dropping spoilers.
Yeah. So when she first gets the substance, she has to inject herself with I guess an agent to get it started. And what happens is her back splits open, and that's where the younger Sue comes out of. And so she has to stitch her. The younger Sue has to stitch the older Sue's back closed, and then every day she has to withdraw a certain amount of spinal fluid out of the older Sue. I mean, out of the older what's Demi Moore's character's name? I cannot remember.
Elizabeth
Elizabeth. Elizabeth. Uh, it was something Sparkle. Elizabeth
Sparkle,
Sparkle.
yes. I wanted to say Star for some reason,
Yeah,
but
I
yeah,
did too. So she has every day has to withdraw some spinal fluid, a very specific amount, and then inject it into herself. What happens is instead of her swapping back, because after 7 days they have to swap back, Sue decides I'm not going to swap back. I'm just going to keep taking spinal fluid out of Elizabeth, and
yeah.
this makes Elizabeth age more. There's also a part of the substance package that is a, I guess,
It's like
a
a food
meal.
supply. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a meal replacement that they're supposed to, both of them are supposed to eat in order for this process to work. Because Sue violated Elizabeth by taking extra days, Elizabeth forgoes eating the special food and gorges on whatever she wants to eat. So at the time when Sue was filming her exercise program, there's a lump that pops out in her butt, and so she has to stop filming. She runs in the bathroom and she starts moving this lump until it comes out of her navel, and it's a chicken drumstick
Oh,
that that Elizabeth had eaten.
but that
That's
was her way of getting back at her. She's like,
mhm,
you're ruining my body because you're taking all this time, extra time to yourself, and I'm the one suffering the majority of the bad side effects here.
mhm. And the practical effects were so good. They start off very small. Like when Elizabeth takes an extra day, Sue gets a finger that is very, very old and
Oh yeah.
decrepit. It just starts off
Had
with just
liver
a finger.
spots on it too.
Yeah, it has liver spots, everything. As she progresses, then it becomes one of Elizabeth's legs becomes. When I say super elderly, we're talking what a person who's over 100 years old might look like. Even the way the cartilage cracks when she's trying to maneuver around
Hmm.
is pretty bad. So it's a very slow process, but the work is done so well. The practical effects team, I cannot give them enough props for that work that they
It was,
did.
yeah, I that totally slipped by me. I guess because I'm used to it because I watch older film, but
Hmm.
I think it was all practical effects. I don't remember seeing anything digital, which I mean, in my opinion, even when it's done badly, practical effects always look better than CGI.
I agree. I 110% agree. Um, so they're going back and forth, kind of battling each other for, I guess, dominance. And at
Hmm.
one point, Elizabeth wants to pretty much get rid of Sue. She's done with the program. She wants to get rid of Sue, but unfortunately, it's at the point where she is really super elderly. Like she looks almost 200 years old, and
Yeah,
she has
I mean,
a humpback. She's just very, very in bad shape.
yeah, I was about to say she looks like one of those witch characters out of The Witches.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's a good description of her. So she tries to get rid of Sue, but then at the last minute, she changes her mind,
Hmm.
which was kind of the worst thing she could do because Sue then gets rid of her. I'm speaking in these terms because you know how YouTube doesn't let you say certain words. So Sue is like brutal. She brutally gets rid of Elizabeth, but Sue really messes up because she takes the activator agent again. Now the activator says on it one time use. You cannot use this again. She takes it another time to try to keep herself from. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. I'm jumping ahead. She didn't do that at that moment. After she got rid of Elizabeth,
Yeah,
she got
the
dressed up to
well,
do her New Year's
Demi
Eve.
Moore, Demi Moore, she had decided that she was going to give more Sue more time because she wanted to go to that New Year's Eve hosting event.
Yeah. So when she gets the New Year's Eve hosting gig, she's does hair and makeup, wardrobe. Then she goes in the bathroom and her teeth start falling out.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and then so
the
she's like,
two
I gotta get
front
up.
ones too. That's like the worst.
Yes. So
And like
as
if it
she's
had been back teeth, she could have gotten away with it.
But yeah, they were right in the front. Those front teeth. As she's trying to escape, that's when Dennis Quaid comes up with the old fogey producers, and they're like, "Why don't you smile for us?" And so she gives them a closed mouth smile, um, as they look at her lecherously, and she gets into the
Yeah.
elevator to escape. And this is when I feel we get our first fly homage when her ear falls off.
Yes.
And I always remember that scene when Jeff Goldblum's ear fell off in the fly. She
Mm-hmm.
makes it she makes it home, and this is when she decides to take the activator again, thinking that, "Oh, maybe I can extend myself," because at first she tried to get some more spinal fluid out of Elizabeth, but she couldn't.
Yeah.
There was none left. So she takes the activator again, and she starts to mutate,
Oh,
and like Elizabeth's face grows through her back, and she's so jacked up and mutated. Like I I described her as looking a little bit like Belial from Basket Case.
that's exactly what I was thinking. But if Belial had a full body,
Yeah, that's basically. But what was the funny yet grotesque scene is she decides she's going to get herself together to go back to host the awards,
oh
and
god,
so when she took the earrings and she hung the earrings on where her ear used to be, there's just a hole there that she.
I think she stabbed it through. I mean, I remember
Yeah,
hearing something kind of crunchy.
yeah. I think she just stabbed the earrings into her flesh. Then she takes the portrait down because Elizabeth has a almost life size portrait of herself in her living room, and so Sue Preacher takes the portrait down, cuts the face out, and puts it
Oh yeah.
on. Yeah, puts it on top of her face.
I mean,
And
all of this sounds like it should be funny, but it's done so dark and so serious.
mhm,
You can't laugh at it. You just look at it, and I mean, not necessarily horrified, but dumbfounded at how far Sue would still go because she wants stardom so badly and she
mhm,
wants to host that show so badly. And you can tell I'm like she's in a position where she should stay at home because she looks very mutated, and her
mhm,
ball gown doesn't even fit her properly. It's all torn, and it I don't know. She looks like something from Toxic Avengers.
mhm. She does. Class of Nukem High looking looking
Yes,
lady. That's another one who did it. Oh, who did the Toxic Avenger? Oh,
I know it was Floyd. He produced it.
yes. Did he direct that though? I thought he directed the Toxic Avenger. Let me
I
see.
don't
That's
remember.
gonna bug me. And I'm mad at myself that I don't know it off the top of my head. Kaufman is last name. Kaufman.
Yeah, uh,
No, that was. Oh no, this is the remake. Why did that come up first? I forgot that they did a remake of the Toxic Avenger.
I remember seeing trailers for it, and then I completely forgot about it.
Okay, so he co-directed it.
Oh,
Michael
okay.
Hurt and Lloyd Kaufman co-directed the Toxic Avenger, and Lloyd Kaufman wrote it with Joe Ritter and others. But yeah, she was definitely giving Toxic Avenger about the face. Yeah.
Yes.
So she shows up to the New Year's Eve celebration, and
Oh
they have
God.
these showgirls.
I know
Oh,
the scene just goes from bad to worse. I mean,
oh, Tony Man says her stapling the face on her deformed face reminded me of Deadpool. He did that with Jackman's face in the first one.
I
Oh, I
don't.
didn't remember that.
I don't remember that at all.
But it was a thing. What's the thing? Yeah, she gets on stage and the mask. For some reason, I don't know why no one in the studio noticed that
Exactly.
like
I wanted to
suspect.
say that, but I'm like, it's like I didn't want to interrupt you because you were. I mean, you had this good flow going.
Oh no, 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 no problem. Always, you know, don't feel like you're interrupting. Um, yeah. So the door people and the PAs, no one notices that she's super mutated for some reason. So she gets up on stage, and the crowd responds to her the way they did the Elephant Man. If you've ever seen the Elephant Man,
Oh,
when
yeah.
they start throwing things at her and calling her a freak because her mask fell off. I don't know why they only didn't notice
Even
the
they didn't
body.
notice her body was like misfigured.
Yeah.
And I mean, same as you, she's kind of walking down this red carpet type scenario, and everybody's cheering her on, and she's making her way backstage, and I was surprised no one said anything because it's so obvious.
Hmm.
But it's a social statement. I want to say. I mean, the fact that even social influencers they have their pseudo fame, but how far people would go just to be noticed or
Hmm.
to feel like they're someone.
Or now that I think about it, is this like in a way a commentary on how once people become super famous, they have yes men. So
Oh
you have
yeah,
people that are acting like like Kanye West or P Diddy, where no one tells them no, or no one
oh
says,
yeah,
"Hey, this is too much." Like, yeah.
yeah. Like you're going too far.
Hmm. So when they call her a freak, someone, I don't know if this was a stage manager or director of the TV show, comes up with a baseball bat and basically bashes her head in,
Yeah,
and then she grows another mutated head, and then out of that mutated head, a breast comes out of the eye socket that
yes.
also has like an umbilical cord attached to it and falls on the ground. And meanwhile, while this is happening, she's spewing blood on the whole audience. gallons and gallons of blood.
Yeah, they were in the splash zone. I mean, literally.
Hmm. And so she runs out of there, down the Hollywood Boulevard sidewalk, and explodes. And then remember that face I said? It was Elizabeth's face that was sticking out of her back. Her face lands on her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame,
No,
and then it
it
just,
crawls over and dies on the
oh
star.
yeah, yeah,
I
that's right.
thought that was
You're,
very poetic.
you're right. You're right. It did crawl over and die on the stuff.
But it
And
was like this, I don't know, like very like primordial thing that it just kind of crawls and it has the face on it. It's I mean the best thing I can think of is like the and only because I saw it recently, but the Frighteners where the like the bad guy character his face gets cut off and then Michael J. Fox starts slamming it against stuff until the real face becomes visible and it kind of like slithers away into something.
mm, I haven't seen The Frighteners in years. I have to revisit that. What's funny is I worked in a movie theater when that came out, and I didn't watch it when it came out in the movie theater, but I ended up watching it when it was on video. Tony Man says the spewing blood scene reminded me of Tokyo Gore Police. Yeah, it was that level of that level of blood. Yes, very much a Japanese level. Well, I hesitate to say that because we do have an American director that gives us that level of gore. Oh, drawing a blank. He did Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness. I think he did a couple Spider-Man movies. Sam Raimi. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He is a blood spewer
yeah. I mean, it's
and
not.
other things. Because
He,
Drag Me to Hell, it was like other fluids, but still gross.
yeah, I mean, he goes for the gross out, which I don't mind. I mean, it's a cop out in horror, but it still works.
Hmm. Oh, there was another director this reminded me of when we were earlier talking about the social commentary.
Hmm.
And I have to give credit to one of my subscribers. They wrote in a comment that it also reminded them of a Paul Verhoeven movie, like how the social commentary is in RoboCop or Starship Troopers.
Mm-hmm. And those were
Because,
also, I think, produced by the same guy as well.
oh,
They have a very similar feel, like with those little vignettes that pop up from time to time,
hmm,
which I like. I think it adds to the film.
oh, definitely. While we're talking, I need to pull up the director's name because we're talking about all the other directors except for the one that did the
I
substance.
know.
And
It's like he made the most memorable film that I've seen all year, and I have no idea who directed it.
the director's name is Coralie Fargate. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing her name. It's Fargeat. Coralie Fargate. I'm going to say Fargate.
I'm not sure.
She did Revenge. Have you seen the movie Revenge?
I haven't
Where
seen that.
where the lady was like she was in some kind of desert mansion, and these guys came and they tried to kill her and they threw her off a cliff, and then she came back for revenge.
No, I haven't seen that one.
It was on Shutter. Let me see if I can see the.
Oh, that reminds me. I don't know if you saw my post on Twitter, but I ran across another one of those movies where the title is so crazy I have to watch it.
Hmm.
I had posted about it. It's called Night of the Bastard.
Oh, I have that. I have that on on my watch list. I think
It's on Shutter.
I think it is. Isn't that a? Is that a Spanish film?
I'm not sure. I mean, like I saw it and I just giggled, and I remember I had a family member that was nearby, and they're like, "What are you laughing at?" And I tell them I'm like, "There's this movie called Night of the Bastard," and they just laughed.
What country? Because I feel like it was a foreign film, but no, it says United States.
Yeah, I mean, I know Shutter is really good for independent and foreign stuff, which is, I
Hmm.
mean, I genres I love, but
Hmm. Same.
and you've got the old school horror in there as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think they just put Salem's Lot on there, which I have to revisit.
Nice. No, I love their selection of giallo.
Hmm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can't remember. I want to say there's, I think it's Dario Argento and John Saxon is in it. It's a black and white film.
I don't know that one.
I'd
Black
have
and
to look it
white.
up, but I know it's a giallo. John Saxon is in it.
Let me see if Google will tell me. Giallo picture with John Saxon in black and white. Here's the pictures that
I want to.
match. A Canon asked for pictures. Oh, I should have said movie. Ah, that's good. Giallo movie by Dario Argento with John Saxon in it that is in black and white.
The White, the Yellow, and the Black is a 1975 movie directed by Sergio Corbucci, starring
Oh,
Tomas Milian, Eli Wallach, and France Nguyen.
Yeah, that's not it at all. Nowhere did you say John Saxon.
no.
Okay, let me check
Ah,
IMDb. I'll go on John Saxon's IMDb and then I'll be able
I
to find it.
I could be totally wrong, but I want to say I was part of the title, like I like EYE.
Hmm. Okay, look at the IMDb. See all. Scroll way down. Man, he's still active. He was just in something in 2017.
I thought um I thought he passed away.
Oh, he probably did. And I'm forgetting, but scroll all the way back to the 70s.
I remember
77.
one of his last cons was one in Canada,
Hmm.
and I remember thinking to myself, "Man, I want to get a passport just so I can see him." It's his last appearance, and I mean, obviously, I never did it, but I was so tempted to.
That would have been cool. It seems most of the guys that have worked in horror have been pretty friendly, pretty nice
Mhm.
people. Like it's almost ironic.
I mean, the only one I've ever heard, like, no pun intended, but the only one I've ever heard horror stories about is Tom Savini, which is a
Hmm.
bummer because I had the opportunity to meet him, and that's the only reason I walked past his table.
Hmm. Do you know
I
there's
went I
another
went to his
movie?
panel. I'm sorry.
As I was scrolling, there's another. At first I said movie, but it's actually a TV series. There was a TV series called The Sixth Sense in 1972.
Hmm.
I guess that John Saxon was in. Very interesting. I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know about that. I recently discovered, I don't know if he starred or if he was a guest on it, but William Price. Oh my God, it's not clicking right now. The guy with the voice, Price.
Oh,
Vincent.
Vincent Price.
Yes, I have no idea where I got William from. Um, I realized, I recently found out, correction, that he was in a Western TV show, Have Gun, Will Hire. And I'm like, that's the only reason I want to watch it now.
Mm. What's funny is that my grandparents used to watch those westerns a lot, especially my paternal grandfather. He used to be on there used to be a Western channel on cable, and he would watch that every day. Like,
Oh, wow.
and I was so surprised how many shows about guns there were. There was
Yes.
Rifleman, Have Gun Will Travel. There was, there was like another
My,
one about a
my,
guy with a gun. Like all these
yeah.
gun shows,
I mean,
Gunsmoke.
I lean towards the classic ones. Like, I like Bonanza and Gunsmoke.
Hmm. And there, what was the other one where they were always fighting on a train?
Mm,
I can't remember what that was. Where they were always fighting on the train.
I don't know.
Wasn't Bonanza? What was it
I half
called?
want to say Wild West.
Yes, that's what it was. Wild Wild West. Or at least I just remember the episodes where they were fighting on a train.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like totally a. We don't have westerns the way there were back then. I'm like, I know they make a resurgence every now and again, but they never hit that popularity.
Hmm. I think that was their action cinema, and now our action cinema is more focused on like gun fu, and I don't know what you would call what oh god, what's that? The Mission Impossible and James Bond type movies. I don't know
Yeah, like
what type of
John Wick.
action you would call that. Yeah, John Wick is definitely that gun fu.
Yeah, I loved that one.
Yeah. I love all three genres. Like, did they have four? I don't know how many
They did.
genres they
They
had.
had four, and every time that they left it in a cliffhanger, I'm like, don't do it, don't do it.
Hmm
I don't want the next movie to suck.
Yeah, that last one when he was fighting up the stairs, that sequence was amazing.
Oh, and it was a callback to the Warriors where the girl's like announcing in the microphone, oh, he's in this location now.
Hmm That's also a great classic movie, The Warriors.
Mm-hmm. That's another soundtrack that doesn't stick with me. Soundtrack, film score.
What, the one from The Warriors or?
Yeah, the Warriors.
Hmm
I have no idea why, but I
Yeah,
don't remember.
I can't remember the music. I just remember the DJ and the guy who was like the leader of the gangs, the one who was giving his speech, and he was like, "Can you dig it?" Like I remember him, and then the guy with the beer bottles, Warriors come out and play. Like you remember
What?
more the actors than the music in
Yes.
that.
Yeah. I want to say it's more a sign of a really good performance or a
Hmm
really strong story where it overshadows the film score, and I think maybe that's what The Substance has. Because I was telling you earlier,
Yes.
I did not remember the film score at all, and I was half tempted to buy the film score because I liked the movie so much, and then I'm like, I don't remember anything about the music. I'm like, I don't need it.
No, I just remember the visuals. The visuals were so strong, and I
Yes.
like how they didn't sacrifice like good filmmaking for the gore. Like sometimes you have movies that they are kind of crappy movies, but they're still entertaining because of the gore. This
Yeah.
was not a crappy movie. It was not a B movie.
Mm-mm. No, I like it. It was very dark. It was serious, and I like how it doesn't come off overly heavy because it doesn't have like those humorous or those light movies,
Hmm
light moments. I'm sorry.
And I had mentioned in my review, but I'm going to mention it again. The performances. The young lady that plays younger Sue, she did a great performance.
Yes.
And Demi Moore's performance, one of my favorite things that she did was when Sue was on the it was like a night show that would remind you of like a Arsenio Hall type
Oh
show.
yeah,
And she's
yeah,
being interviewed, and Elizabeth is going nuts in the apartment. She's so mad. Um,
yeah. She half like compliments it, but she's being, what do you call it? I can't remember the word where you're
like a
like,
backhanded compliment.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And then she starts cooking in the kitchen, like ferociously cooking in the kitchen, and just
Oh,
it
I
just.
I love the mess she left for Sue to clean up.
hmm
She was pissed.
It's
But
one of
and
those
then
jokes.
that escalates with Elizabeth too. It starts with eating junk food and pigging out,
Hmm
and then she just starts leaving these horrible messes in her own house,
hmm
which is funny because she didn't consider it's like, okay, this whole you are one thing, and it's like, okay, well, you're getting back at Sue, but I'm like, you're doing it to yourself too.
hmm Well, Sue was kind of doing to her because Sue was excessively drinking. Like whenever she would go out partying, she
Yeah.
was excessively drinking, and she was sleeping with people that Elizabeth probably didn't approve of sleeping with. So
Yeah. And
yeah.
actually, that's where it starts. Where Sue starts stealing time is because she basically wants to screw this guy, and then her nose starts bleeding
hmm
because she's gone over on time. So I think that's the first time she takes one of those vials that are single use, and she comes back, and even the guy comments like, "What did you do? You're more beautiful than before."
hmm Which I don't know why she didn't just time her going out. Like, why go out on the seventh day?
She's
Like, go out on the
she's
third
young.
day.
Young people don't think about that stuff. They always have this mentality that they're invincible.
That's true.
I'm like, I remember a lot of dumb stuff that I did when I was younger, and I'm like, I shouldn't even be here. I have no idea how I'm here.
hmm I just remember the stuff that I put my body through, like going out and then staying up and going to work, at 9 in the morning without sleep, like that type of
Yeah.
stuff. Like, oh, I would never do that today.
Yeah, I remember staying out all night and then literally going home when I have only 2 hours left, taking a shower, changing my clothes, and then walking right back out the door because I had to go to work.
hmm and then it's almost embarrassing because you can't scrub the hand stamp off your hand from
Yeah.
like you're trying to scrub the hand stamp off, it's not coming off. You're just like, I just got to go into work with this hand stamp on. Oh,
Yeah.
Slipknot fan is here. They say what's up. Or
Yeah.
they suck. Yeah, we are talking about the substance. Have you guys that are in the comments seen the substance? What were your thoughts? I would love to read some of your thoughts of the substance. And
Yeah.
how did you react to the actual gore? Because like I was delighted.
Hmm. Yeah, it doesn't let you down at all.
Mhm.
But it's not like this thing where it's overly excessive, like, oh, that's so fake, whatever.
Yeah, it was very visceral in a way,
Hmm.
and I liked how the subtext was displayed. And I think um, one of the strengths was the director being a woman and telling the story from the perspective of a woman.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that helps, but I mean, men have proven they can also tell stories from a woman's perspective.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the story that sticks with me is Dolores Claiborne, Stephen King. He did an excellent job.
See, I was gonna say Stephen King also, but the one that sticks with me is Carrie.
Carrie,
Like
yeah,
he was able to capture what it feels like to be a high
a
school
young girl.
outcast girl.
Yes.
And it's amazing.
Slipknot says, haven't seen the substance, but heard good things. It's awesome.
Yes,
We've been dropping spoilers, by the way, so just a heads up.
yeah, I highly recommend it. What I'll say for the people with well, Slipknot just got here, I would say if you like movies that have like a Paul Verhoeven type of commentary, like how RoboCop has a commentary on privatizing the police force,
Hmm.
that type of commentary, you'll really enjoy this. You'll also enjoy it if you enjoy movies that incorporate gore to tell a story, like Reanimator or uh, I, I hesitate to say the From Beyond. It's a little bit of a different type of story.
I mean, I get the imagery. I can see it in
Yeah,
the.
the imagery, but not so much the story of From Beyond.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh,
Marty, oh yes, Jen
yeah,
said it,
Marty's. Yeah,
yes, it may be on her top flicks for 2024. Mine too.
that's what I said earlier. It's like the most memorable film I've seen in all year. Well,
Hmm.
in years actually.
Yeah, I would say that it has something for everyone. Then yes,
Yeah, it does.
unless you're squeamish about gore, because I know some people are very squeamish.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean,
Marty, the
from
early Cronenberg. Yes,
yes,
we
yeah, and we
mentioned
brought up Cronenberg earlier too.
The Fly a lot, but there's something about this that kind of reminds me of The Brood also.
I can see that. Yeah, I mean, you don't have the sexual undertones of Cronenberg. I mean, I would have liked some of that, and
Hmm.
I from the film trailer, I thought it was going to be a lot more dark psychological, and I would have liked it if they played on that. But there really isn't anything in there
Yeah,
in the substance.
yeah, I agree. There's like one scene that it implies that Sue had sex with this dude that she brought home, but they don't show it, or there's nothing. There's no sexy scenes in it, basically.
Mm-mm. I mean, we get close, yeah, when she brings the guy home and he's like feeling her up, and that's it.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a PG moment.
Yeah,
But I kind of would have liked to have stayed in that scene a little more, like other than like the nose bleeding. I would have liked to have seen like maybe some side effects that he didn't notice, but she did. Like play on
hmm,
that a little.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That would have been a better time for the chicken to come out of her stomach.
Yes.
That would have been perfect. Like he's feeling on her booty, and that's when the lump appears
Yes.
instead of the scene where she's doing the workout video.
Yeah.
Slipknot says, I prefer Cronenberg's regular movies like The Dead Zone, A History of Violence, Eastern Promises. Eastern Promises is on my watch list, by the way. I need to watch that sometime this weekend because I think it's
Yeah.
going to leave. Um,
That's the only one on Slipknot's list I haven't seen. History of
yeah,
Violence was good, but I like that I like that bio horror that Cronenberg does. I'm like,
mhm.
there's just something about it.
And then Marty says, or Rabbit with the model needing cosmetic
Uh
surgery after
huh.
an
Yes.
accident gets this parasite instead. Yes, that's a great film, Rabbit.
Yeah, I was half thinking that, and then I totally forgot about it. But I have want to say that Rabid kind of took a rip at an Elizabeth Taylor film. I want to say it was out a year earlier. It was called, oh gosh, what is it? Right before Easter, Fat Tuesday. But it had a reference, something Sunday, I think. I don't know, but she goes into like this very pampered private hospital also, and she has all this surgery done, and the only gory scene in that entire movie, because it's a drama, is you see footage of actual surgeries. It doesn't
Oh,
last
wow.
long, but that's it.
I need to look for that movie. Elizabeth Taylor. I
I
haven't
need
heard
to
of
look
that.
it up. I've reviewed it, but I'm drawing a blank right now. Oh, did Cronenberg's what acting? What do you?
Oh,
I did. I
oh,
can't
I think
see
it
it
means
quite.
you like. I think it means you like Cronenberg's acting in Nightbreed. He was brilliant in that. He played the serial killer that had the,
Oh,
the
okay.
the button mask in Nightbreed. He did a really great job in that. He creeped me out. He was
Yeah,
really creepy.
yeah, he was. Um, he reminds me of a Batman character, though, like one of the villains,
Mm.
the Scarecrow. I want to say.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, did you see?
I'm still trying to find Elizabeth Taylor movies.
I wish I could remember. I know it's one of those events that happens right before Easter
Do you
starts.
remember if it was from the 60s, the 70s,
70s. Yeah.
70s?
I
Okay,
mean, it was
70s.
more of a drama. Like there's nothing gory about it, but it's that emphasis at the beginning of the hospital is what I think Cronenberg
Ah,
is taking it.
Ash Wednesday.
Yes, I it was so not clicking.
Okay, I'm adding that to my watch list. It's not streaming anywhere. That sucks.
I
Or
remember.
no, it might actually be on. I have to check Shutter because a lot of times Shutter, like when you try to look it up on IMDb, it doesn't tell you whether something's on Shutter or not.
Hmm.
You have to actually go into the Shutter app to see if they have the movie.
I know there was an app. I don't remember the name, but you could look something up and it would tell you exactly where it was, and it had the current information.
Hmm.
I wish
Sometimes
I
my
remember.
Roku app will do that too, but it
Hmm.
it's hit or miss sometimes.
I'm spoiled. I'm more of an Amazon person, so I have to have like my Fire Stick, my Fire TV.
Hmm.
But Roku's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah,
Roku's older, I think, also.
yeah. Because I've been through probably like three Roku's. They keep coming up with newer, updated ones
Hmm.
rather than like they will give updates on their Roku for so long, and then after a while they'll stop receiving updates, and then you got to get a new one, kind of like a laptop.
Yeah, that's what happened with my smart TV. It's over 10 years old. I don't get updates anymore, but I plugged in my Fire Stick. I'm like, haha, screw you.
Hmm.
I'm like, it's still an internet TV. I'm like,
Hmm.
that's good enough for me.
Yep.
Like I'm not buying a new TV just because it's outdated. I'm like, if my Blu-ray player isn't compatible, which is the original reason why I bought a new TV.
Hmm. Oh, I want to circle back to someone you said earlier. When we were talking about um, if you like certain movies, you'll like this. You mentioned Ryan Usna at the very beginning of
Yes,
our live stream. What? Am I getting feedback again? Okay. And yeah, we should talk about Society because I think this movie has a
yes,
lot in
I
common with
totally saw
Society.
that.
Yeah.
The shunting scene.
Yes. And the fact that the Society is a very straightforward movie until that happens.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
there's
and
little glimpses, like with
it's
his sister in the shower, but
yeah, but it's also one of those movies where the ending it should be like hilarious. You have like this thing going on, like
hmm
the John Carpenter's The Thing,
hmm
where
yeah,
everyone's just assimilated, and you literally have this guy's face who grew out of his own butt, and then
yeah.
in substance you have Elizabeth's face right on the back of this creature.
hmm And the person that did the special effects for Society, his name was Screaming Mad George. He also did some of the effects for the couple Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and I'm drawing a blank at other stuff he did, but he was really popular in the '80s for practical effects.
Oh,
And this effects team, it's almost like they're his babies, like they are the children that he raised.
oh,
The effects team for the substance, I'm saying,
Mhm.
they're like Screaming Mad George's baby.
Oh,
And
okay.
also, oh, who did the effects for the Sting? I forget his name. I
I
want
don't
to
know.
say Bob something. Thing, 1982. I always
I
forget
wish
his
I were
name.
on my laptop. I could totally be pulling this stuff up. I'm on mobile, and so it's like if I try to switch over, then I get kicked out.
That's okay. I'm pulling it up. Makeup department. Rob Bottin, not Bob. Rob Bottin. Yeah,
That's close enough. At least you didn't call him William Price.
yeah. He like to this day, people have not been able to replicate what he did in freaking what was it, 1981 when he did that?
Mm.
82. Well, it's probably shot in 81. But like to this day, practical effects teams have not been able to recapture what he did. It's freaking amazing. And I'm mad at myself for not remembering his name.
But the I loved the callback to the practical effects that Substance had. It makes me wish that it would get a resurgence, especially after this film. It's
Yeah.
like people need to realize it's not outdated. Like you can actually enhance upon it with animatronics and all this other
Mhm.
stuff that people have now. It doesn't have to be CGI.
Exactly. I think we are getting a lightweight resurgence with things like Barbarian. If you've seen all of Barbarian, that's another one where the trailer
Oh no, I
does
thought it was
not
going to be
feel
like this um, in
like
home invasion type film or something.
yeah, like a home invasion psychological thriller type thing, and it's not at all. And then there was another one. What was it called? Malignant. When-
Oh, I wanted to watch like that movie. I was so excited, and then the special effects, especially when the creature makes itself known and it's doing all this crazy stuff, and I just burst out laughing. I'm like, I
yes,
can't take you seriously.
yeah, it's James Wan. James Wan has a little bit of an issue with making things funny. Like I think he needs Lee Wanell to balance him off. Like when they're together, it's like how you know how they both worked on Insidious,
Hmm.
and it's so creepy, and then suddenly the ghost is dancing a tiptoe through the tulips. That's James Wan. It's like why
Yeah,
did you break up the scariness to
yeah.
have
I mean,
no?
sometimes it works, but I hate when it throws you out of a film, and you're like, oh, that's so stupid, and then you have trouble getting back into the movie again.
Yeah, but I did like the effects of I guess spoilers for Malignant. If you've seen Basket Case, you've seen Malignant. I feel like it's a retelling of Basket Case in a way, because
Kind of,
in
yeah, I can see
yeah,
that.
because in
Or the
Basket
dark
Case,
half.
yeah, the dark half too. In Basket Case, Belial, who is the deformed uh, conjoined twin of
Yeah, the parasitic twin.
yeah, he gets separated from his brother, and so he goes on a revenge spree to kill the doctors that separated him from his brother.
Hmm.
And in Malignant, it's like a similar thing where the woman has a parasitic twin who was had his limbs removed and was pushed into her skull, and he reemerges after she gets her head hit against the wall,
Hmm.
and he goes out on revenge for the doctors that did that to him. So it's very similar to Basket Case and uh, the Dark Half.
Yeah. Yeah, I really wanted to like it up until that scene, and then it's kind of like, movie, you're too stupid.
I did like the jail scene. I was like, this is cool. Oh, the one thing that did bother me about Malignant was how the house was small on the outside, but on the inside it was
Oh
huge
yeah.
studio set. Like this doesn't match. You're
No.
showing me a house that has regular ceilings, but then when you show the interior, it has cathedral ceilings. It's like that's not how houses like that are made. That's an old
I,
farmhouse. It doesn't
I
have cathedral ceilings.
I can see that as a future house thing, kind of like how we have tiny homes, but you walk in and it's a full-sized house. They're just
Hmm.
compacted to save space because we're getting overpopulated.
Hmm. Well, that's actually a misnomer in the U.S. because we have a huge amount of space in the Midwest and the northern Midwest that is not used.
Hmm.
Our problem is we're too overpopulated in the same few areas.
Well, because we want
Something
to
needs
know
to
where the
happen
action
where
is.
people say again.
we want to be where the action is because it's all
Yeah,
these rural areas where you have all this room, but it's too boring.
yeah. I think I was telling my sister this not too long ago. I think they should begin building cities again in other places. Like
Yes.
instead of building on top of each other in Miami and New York and LA, go up into Montana, build something there. Utah is huge. We have two Dakotas that like no one lives in. I mean, there's people
Well,
there, but their
I mean,
population is pretty low.
not just that, but you could get creative. You could start building a city in those, like those really long in between spaces between small
Hmm.
towns. Like you can start building and developing that area and build it
Yeah,
up to a city.
it's like they did with Vegas. If you've ever driven from, I've never done the drive, but I've heard. But if you
Mhm.
drive from California to Vegas, you drive through all this desert, and then out of the middle of nowhere, Vegas is just there in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we need to do rather than everyone congregating on the coast. Like let's 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 fill in a little bit of the middle of the country.
Yeah. I mean, it is untapped space. I can see that.
Yeah, because it's starting to happen to Orlando too, where everyone is coming to Orlando, and it's like we're not going to have space if everyone keeps coming here. Y'all got
Yeah.
to go to other places.
I mean, we have that thing with Texas where like native Texans, if you're from California, you're going to get dirty looks.
Hmm. Down here,
Like you're
even though
taking our jobs, you're making everything more expensive. It's like get
yes,
out.
and they're changing the culture. What I don't like, and the thing is,
No.
I'm saying this as a transplant myself. I came from Connecticut to Florida, but when I came here, I pretty much absorbed the culture, and I guess assimilated into the culture, which is a
Mhm.
very we have kind of a southern hospitality type of thing where
Yeah.
people speak to each other, they make eye contact, they're helpful. Um, and what I'm seeing is people coming down from where I came from Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, and bringing the same type of um, standoffishness with them, and it changes the culture of the community. And the other thing I don't like that they're bringing down with them is throwing trash out their windows.
Oh, I
Okay,
hate that.
you lived in a city where there was garbage everywhere. You come down here, you see everything is clean, and you start throwing garbage out the windows. Like, no, go the fuck back up there with that shit.
Yeah.
I came down here to live in cleanliness.
Yeah. I mean, I hate it. Even native Texans I've seen do that, and I'm like, stupid.
Hmm.
You
And
retard.
we used to have a city ordinance because Orlando's nickname is the city beautiful. It used to be $100 fine for littering here.
Wow.
Because of the tourist economy, one of the things that they wanted to preserve is how the city looks because we're an international tourist spot. People
Mm.
will not want to come if it's dirty. It's like what's happening to Paris right now. So many videos on TikTok are showing how dirty Paris is, and it's like hitting their tourist economy hard. And then the whole bed bug thing, like when when that got out.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, not just that, but Paris is so expensive. I'm like, it better be worth the trip.
Hmm.
I mean, it's like San Antonio is near where I live, like a couple of hours drive, but you go there and you see dirty diapers in parking lots, and
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
I always think like, who raised you people? And then you have the nerve to be having children that you're raising to be just equally nasty. Like that's
Yes,
disgusting.
I'm like, and I've always said it for years. I'm like, people should have to apply for a license so that they can have kids because
Hmm.
it's cruel to say, but not everyone deserves to be a parent.
No, I agree. And I've seen the worst of it because I worked for 2 months. I worked for DCF, the Department of Children and Family Services,
Oh
and
yeah,
I
you've
worked in
seen.
a safe house where children go when they first have been removed from an abusive or neglectful situation. And
Mhm.
the things that I saw, like I couldn't take it. That's why I only worked for 2 months there. Like I just emotionally could not take seeing that. It
Oh,
was just you
I
wouldn't
mean, I
believe.
can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure there are tons of horror stories. It's just I
Mhm.
can't imagine. I mean, especially during COVID, I mean, the thing that upsets me, which is totally like not even related. I'm like going left field here, but people bought all these pets, like all these dogs, all these beautiful animals, and then
Mhm.
COVID's over and they throw these animals out on the street. I'm like, you cruel piece of shit.
For real. Like some people are just sick. Let's see. We have some comments here. Slipknot fan asked, "Have you guys seen Storm of the Century?" I have not seen Storm of the Century.
Yes. I like that one. I don't remember the story because I only saw it when it was first out. It's a Stephen King miniseries. I don't remember if it's produced by Mick Garris, but I know he does most of the miniseries.
And Tony Man says, seeing it, Slipknot fan, I lived in Connecticut at the time that storm hit and remember it well. And Slipknot says, wow, amazing, it's incredible. Yeah, it was crazy. And then Toteman says, wow, horror, I've said that for years. You need a license for a gun or a car. Why not kids too? Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And not just that, but even like public assistance. I mean, I worked for Medicaid for years, and there are people who abuse the system that way too. Like they'll continue having kids on purpose so that they can continue receiving benefits. And I say, like, after X year, like say 2029, they should announce, well, we're only going to support 3 children out of the family. And like, yeah, think that over before you put your pants down.
Yeah, there are some states that have done that. I think New Jersey is one of the states that there's a cap. Like once you go on the system, if you have more children, you're not getting more systems. They just cap it. They're
Yeah,
like, no, you were already, yeah. And
I think they should do that.
the other thing that I saw was when I worked in a high school, I noticed a pattern where there'd be certain women that were on assistance, and just about when their child's about to graduate from high school or turn 18, suddenly they're pregnant again.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of them that had these children 18, almost 18 years apart, just because what my one check is about to age out of being a check. I got to get another one.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. It's like they're abusing the system. Like they continue having kids just so that they can stay on assistance. It's like, well, the rest of us have to work to support your lazy ass.
And there should be, and now, mind you, as we're having this conversation, this is not an anti anyone being on assistance. We're
No, I
not
mean, I'm
saying
not
some
bashing
people.
anyone.
Yeah, we're just talking about people who actually abuse it, because there's a difference between people who have worked, maybe they got laid off, maybe they got fired, maybe they had a medical issue, and then they have to get assistance. But there's a difference between that and a person who has never tried in their life, and they just been on assistance their whole life, and they ain't trying to get off it. That's a
I mean,
totally different mentality.
it's ugly to say, but there are kids who grow up in the system and they think it's normal to live that way. So then they grow up to abuse the system.
Exactly. That's what we're talking about. And it's not good for their mental health either, because people want to feel like they are, um,
Purposeful.
yeah, have a purpose in life. So that's not good for them not to have a purpose in life. Let's see what else. Tony Man says, I think it's one of those King TV movies that not many people know about. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. We're referring
Yeah.
to Storm of the Century.
The one I say that's not too well known is Night Flyer. I bring it up every now and again, but I never hear anyone talk about it.
Yeah, I think I remember that one. Was that one like a crazy looking vampire like creature?
Yeah, but instead of flying, he flew an airplane.
Yeah. I think that was a TV movie too, right?
It
I think that
was
was a TV
it was a
movie.
TV movie.
And in the Langoliers, which I think what
Oh,
ruined
I
the
wanted
Langoliers.
to like that one, but the special effects were
Yeah,
so.
I was gonna say the special effects were so bad that
I
it
mean, Tommy Knockers, I'll give that one a pass. The story was good.
I haven't seen the Tommy Knocker. Um, One that I get kind of roasted for liking is Dreamcatcher. I know it's not good, but there's something about it I liked.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me. I read the book and they're different, but I can
Well,
appreciate them for two separate things.
oh, there's another one I get roasted for liking, Sleepwalkers.
Sleepwalkers, I love that
I
one.
like
I loved it as a
Sleepwalkers.
kid. I still love it, but
Yeah.
it's because, at least with me, because I've been a cat lover my whole life. I'm like,
Hmm.
I rarely see werecats, like cat people,
Hmm.
sleepwalkers. You get a werecat in Wolf Cop 2.
Oh, I didn't see Wolf Cop 2. I saw the first Wolf Cop.
Yeah, it's you're better off without the sequel. It's a throwaway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's more like a sequel in name.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a werecat in that movie. She's laughable, but I think she was meant to be funny.
Mm-hmm. And I like that in Sleepwalkers, the cat is the hero. The cat,
Hmm.
the cat, plural, save the day.
God, I can't remember his name. I want to say it starts with an O.
Oh, it's Clovis.
Clovis. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
totally off. Yeah, Night Flyer is definitely a little known movie. I don't think it's ever been re-released on Blu-ray. I have like an old beat up DVD, and I'm like, I would love to replace it just because the box looks like shite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And not just that, it's those cardboard boxes from the early 2000s. I hate those boxes. I forget what they're called. Not like the standard plastic boxes, but like those big, bulky, clunky
Like
cardboard. The
oh,
snap case,
oh,
whatever
I
they're
was
called.
thinking of the plastic clamshell boxes.
Oh no, not the clamshells. I mean those I like. I wish I could remember what they're called. I want to say snap case, but I think I'm wrong.
Okay, it says you can rent or buy the Night Flyer on Amazon, but it looks like it's still um, like the format is 4:3, like the old school TVs.
Oh,
So I
okay.
don't know whether it's a DVD rip or not. It doesn't look remastered.
Okay, kind of like a VHS transfer.
Yeah. Let me see, what are they? Oh, they're selling the DVD for $16.
Oh, that's overpriced for something that old. And it's out of print, so.
That's probably why they figure they can bump up the price because of scarcity. There is a VHS tape someone is selling for $7.97.
Oh, that's not bad. I wouldn't mind having it on VHS. I mean, I just can't stand the way my DVD box looks.
Mm-hmm.
Trivial because the movie plays fine. I think those are, yeah, I think those are the only lesser talked about Stephen King stories: Langoliers, Tommyknockers, Storm of the
Mm-hmm.
Century, Night Flyer. I can't think of anything else.
I can't either, not off the top of my head. Slipknot says, "Do you remember a time when DVDs were super cheap on eBay? Now they're all becoming expensive." Yes, and I actually wish I would have bought more of them. You could still find some cheap DVDs at Goodwill.
Mm-hmm.
There's some at the Dollar
Pawn
Tree.
shops.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dollar Tree has good deals.
Mhm.
Pawn shops, I think you can get like a pretty good stack for $5, maybe less.
No, one DVD set I regret selling. I had the original DVD set for Nightmare on Elm Street that included Part Six, and I had the original 3D glasses from the movie theater that I
Oh,
had stuck in the DVD set, and I sold that DVD set without taking the original 3D
oh,
glasses out. And I was so mad at myself that I forgot to take my 3D, because those were not the 3D glasses that came with the DVD. They were 3D glasses from the movie theater. So when you
yeah.
saw,
I,
yeah,
I still have mine, and I remember on the inside there was an advertisement for I think House Party 2.
hmm. Okay. And the other thing I'll kick myself about getting rid of is I had my I think it was Yo MTV Rap cards, which they were like baseball cards, but they had different rappers on them, and then it said like facts about the rappers, like what city they were born in, or if they studied a certain discipline, or if they had a black belt or something, like just interesting facts about the rapper.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I would have kept those, and I kept them all on up until I was like 23. I think I still had those.
Oh no, I've never heard of those. I mean, I still have my Vampirella taps trading cards where Vampirella is done in like different art styles from various artists,
Mhm.
and I'm glad I never got rid of that.
Very, very cool.
Oh, yeah, I already got that one, and they're just DVDs, super cheap, and they're just DVDs. That's why I stopped buying them. Like they don't have special features. It's like they were purposely pushing people into Blu-ray.
Hmm. And now some of us are kind of returning to physical media because of directors changing their stuff.
Hmm.
One, like George Lucas going back and changing stuff and changing stuff and changing stuff when a
Oh
lot of
no.
us might have liked the original version. And then the other thing is because things suddenly become unavailable. Like
Hmm.
at first people were like, "Oh well, we'll just stream," but then sometimes things suddenly become unavailable streaming.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I stopped buying DVDs. I stopped buying Blu-rays because I move so often, and then I have to
Hmm.
haul the stuff with me, so it was more of a space thing and convenience. But
Yeah, that's what made me sell my DVDs. When I last moved, I sold most of my DVDs, and I but what I was doing was I was taking the because some of them would come with a digital copy. Like I
yeah,
remember when I got Sucker Punch, it came with two. It was like the director's cut, regular, and a digital copy. So
hmm
what I was doing is just saving the digital copy on my portable hard drive and then selling the DVD. Um,
yeah. That's what I do. I upload them to my Voodoo account, and then I get rid of the physical copy. Like I'll give it away to family, but
mhm,
yeah, I'm like I don't need this anymore, and they usually trade back. Like they'll give me their digital copies when they buy physical media, so it's fair.
mhm,
But that's what I do now. Like I very rarely buy movies, even digital copies.
mhm.
But I think Substance is going to be one of those that I want to own a copy of.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely getting that, and I'm hoping it comes out um, in Blu-ray or at least 4K. I don't have a
Mhm.
4K TV, but my mother has one and my sister has one. So I watch it on my sister's 4K TV.
Yeah, mine's 4K and it's about 10 years old. And I was mad like when I finally switched over to Blu-rays from DVD. The following year they announced 4K, and I'm like, I don't like you.
Mhm.
The most polite way I can think to say it, because obviously I was thinking colorful words.
Oh yeah, that's the Gen X in us. Like we're tired. We're tired. We have gone from geez, VHS and beta to DVDs to Blu-rays to MP3s, and then the same thing with music. I think that
Mhm.
pisses us off even more. Like, why do we have to keep replacing our music collection? F you. You come
Yeah,
up
it
with one
sucks.
more. As it is, I'm sitting here trying to transfer my all the playlists I made on my. I had the big white iPod.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I always wanted that. I kicked myself for never getting it, and now they don't even make iPods anymore.
Yeah, I got one way past its prime. I got one in like 2016. I had the big white one. Then it
Mm.
stopped having updates. So then I got, I went to, I think my husband went to a pawn shop and he got me one that was the touchscreen one. So I
Oh yeah,
transferred everything onto that one. And
but
now they don't make them anymore.
my complaint is the touchscreen. It doesn't have as much storage space as those
No,
bigger
it doesn't. It doesn't.
classics.
The classic had 256 gigs. The
Yeah,
classic white iPod, 256 gigs. Now you're lucky if you get 16. So now everything is streaming. So now I'm on Spotify trying to recreate my
yeah.
playlist from my iPod onto the Spotify, and Spotify doesn't even have all the songs.
No, or if they do have it at the time, then it later becomes unavailable. So then you have to hunt down another version and then re-add
Hmm.
it to your playlist. I don't like that.
And if you do find a version, it might be a re-recording from the same artist because a lot of the artists have had to re-record their songs to retain the rights.
Hmm.
So it'll sound different from what you were used to hearing all the years.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Slipknot was saying, speaking of trading cards, I had a few Jason Goes to Hell trading cards, and they had images of the deleted scenes, the huge demon creature, and some more violent scenes that never made it into the film.
Mm. Now that one was a great experience in the movie theaters too. The Jason Goes to Hell, not
Mhm.
because the movie is kind of not good, but it did
Yeah.
have great practical effects. But that ending scene when Freddy Krueger's glove, his
Yeah, I
hand,
got excited over that, and then it was
yeah,
years before anything happened.
yeah, almost a decade before because
Hmm.
they had issues over the rights and the scripts and stuff. Um, the script for the Friday 13th 8, I believe, when the young lady was like Carrie, that was
Hmm.
originally conceptualized as a Freddy versus Jason script. That's why there's scenes in a basement, even though cabins typically don't have basements. But
Yeah,
um, yeah, but they couldn't get the rights, so they swapped out Freddy Krueger for quote unquote Carrie.
yeah. I mean, I think it still works. It's one of my
Hmm.
favorite Friday the 13th, just because it's so different.
Yeah, it definitely still works. But
I
yeah,
mean, it's
that's
a
how
total
far
Carrie
along they
ripoff,
wanted
but
that.
it's a total Carrie ripoff. But I like that they had the balls to do that.
Hmm. And it's just I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, it tells you how long they were trying to do Freddy versus Jason. All the way
Yeah.
back to the 80s, they were trying to do it, and I don't think we
Oh, I
got it
didn't
until.
hear about it until, well, I mean, I was collecting Fangoria at the time. I was still in elementary, but I think I was like 12 or
Mhm.
13 when I found out about it.
Mm. That's another thing I wish I still had my Fangoria posters. I had Fangoria posters I had collected since like sixth grade, and when I went away to college, my mother threw them away.
Oh, that
She
sucks.
said,
And now they don't
"These
even
are
sell
these are
posters anymore.
disgusting," and I'm like, "Those I'll
They
never get those back." I
they
had a
don't even
poster.
carry the posters in the magazines anymore. And I'm like, I,
No.
I hate the new format of the physical magazine. I want like that stiff, like
Hmm.
thick hardback that they used to have. It was more
Yeah.
durable.
They need to produce those again with the posters. I think Gen Alpha would love those.
Mm-hmm.
They have
Yeah,
a morbid sense of humor and stuff.
yeah, they do.
Hmm.
Um, I still remember when Scream Factory used to sell their posters for their special editions, but they would fold them into fourths, and
Hmm.
no one complained at the time. And then they started selling them those rolled tubes.
Hmm.
And I still have my folded ones, and I'm like, I'm halfway between should I sell them, should I not sell them, am I going to regret it?
Hmm. A Slipknot fan says seeing Freddy grab Jason's mask was every horror fan's dream come true. Yeah, the audience
Yes, I
popped
loved
for
that.
that.
I'm sure everyone popped for that.
Hmm. And that one kind of has a special place in my heart because it was the first Friday the 13th movie that I got to see in the theater.
Oh wow.
Because all the others I saw on cable, I was too young. And I remember even no, actually for that one, was I even no, I was old enough. I wanted my friends to see that one. I was not old enough to see Freddy's Dead because we tried to go in and they were like, you have to be over 17. And I think I was 16 at the time. And
Oh,
my dad was planning to just drop us off at the movie theater and pick us up later. But he ended up going in to watch it with us because we couldn't see it without him going in with us. And he's
oh,
not
okay.
a fan of slashers. They creep him out.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, I
my
mean,
dad
that was
was like
willing
squirming
to
in his
go with you
chair.
guys.
Say again?
No, I'm saying that was awesome of him that he was still willing to go in for you guys.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, those are the first two slasher movies I think I got to see in the theaters were Freddy's Dead and Jason Goes to Hell. I'd seen horror in the theaters, but because like I was saying, my parents were not into slasher movies. I got to see stuff like The Fly. Um, I got to see Poltergeist at the drive-in theater. They like more science fiction or
Oh, okay.
supernatural horror. They would go and see, but they wouldn't go see a slasher movie.
I remember the first Nightmare on Elm Street I saw in theater was Dream Warriors. I'm like, I'm that old.
I saw Dream Warriors on HBO. Like most of the horror I saw was from the 80s. If it wasn't rented from the video store, because we had a video store in my small town that had like a deal where it was 5 movies for $5 for 5 days. So it was
Yeah.
basically $1 a movie. And so
Hmm.
that's where I saw stuff like Toxic. No, I did not see Toxic Avenger there. I saw New Zealand movies. It was the first time I heard of Peter Jackson, and I saw
Awesome.
Bad Taste and Dead or Alive. I think it's also called Brain Dead, but
Right.
Dead or Alive, where the guy kills the zombies with the lawnmower.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was funny because when I first saw those, I was like, "Where is this place?" Because they kind of sound like Australians, but they're not Australians. And
Uh-uh.
that was like the first time I learned about New Zealand was through
Yeah,
those movies.
I think the New Zealand accent is a little bit more chirpy and Australia's a little more twangy.
Hmm. But the Toxic Avenger, I saw that on USA. There used to be a guy that came on Saturdays. It was Commander USA's Groovy Movie, and he would play stuff like the Toxic Avenger, Alligator. I remember it was a giant alligator movie that was the alligator was eating people in
I remember
Chicago, maybe it was Chicago. Um,
I want to say
and
in New
then
York.
and also Elvira. I
Oh,
used to
yeah.
watch stuff on Elvira
I
and
saw
Ghost.
that one. We rented that one. I remember Elvira. And I had this thing where at the beginning of every movie, I have no idea why. I was a little kid and I used to say, watch.
I half the jokes she told I didn't get when I was a kid, but now when I go back and watch it, I'm like, oh, I get that joke now.
Yeah, I remember watching that movie with my ex. And he, like the first couple of boob scenes, he's like, whoa. And I go, no, the whole movie's like that.
Hmm. Um, there was another one. Oh, Joe Bob Briggs, Monster
I love
Vision.
Joe Bob, Monster
Yeah.
Vision.
Hmm.
And then just one day it disappeared, and I'm like, I was so young, I didn't know about like TV edits, and I'm like, I go back and I watch old Joe Bob on
Mhm.
YouTube from time to time, and I'm like, I hate it when they edit stuff. Like I recently watched The Kiss, and they cut out that scene where the woman gets hit with the vehicle and her legs stay behind when she gets pulled out, and
Mhm.
I'm like, that was my favorite scene, and it got cut.
Mm. Yeah, because sometimes Monster Vision was on regular TV, like
Hmm.
ABC, NBC, or something like that, and then other times it was on cable TV.
I
And when
remember it being on TNT, I want to say.
yeah, I think it was on TNT. His show was canceled and then picked up like 4 times, and it
Hmm.
changed names. I think originally it was Drive-In Cinema, then it was Monster Vision, and I think they changed it again, and then now it's back to being Drive-In
The
Cinema
Last
on.
Drive-In.
Yeah, the last Drive-In is on, which is funny because that was only supposed to be a one-time thing. I read that
Hmm.
that's why it was
But
called
it
the
picked
last
up so
Drive-In.
many views. Yeah.
Yeah, but it got so many views that at first people were getting kicked off the site because
Yes, I
it
remember
got
that.
overloaded. Yeah.
I stayed up for as many as I could, and then I was
Hmm.
glad that they re-uploaded the film separately later, and that's how I finished watching the movies.
Hmm.
And this last all-nighter, I'm like, they kept showing stuff I'd already seen, so I'm like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, the same. I haven't watched like the last 2 episodes because it was stuff. Well, I will rewatch stuff I've already seen if I know he's going to be talking to like either the director or the special effects tech or something like that. It's
Yeah.
almost like a live DVD extras thing. But if he doesn't have anyone on like that, then I don't. The last one I really liked watching, he actually had Cassandra Peterson on, who plays
Yes.
Elvira, and
Elvira.
that was a really great conversation. Um, I also watched a documentary about Elvira, and I didn't know that she came up in the same theater squad as Paul Rubens, who became Pee Wee Herman.
Yes. I forget what they were called. I want to say, actually, I'm going to be wrong, so why even bother?
Hmm.
But yeah,
And
they were part of the same comedy troupe.
she credits her look with being helped out by drag queens.
Elvis. Well, Elvis, she's also mentioned
Yes.
that it was Elvis inspired.
Hmm. I could see that because of the showmanship. It
Hmm.
kind of reminds me of something that Michael Jackson once said, to create a compelling spectacle. And that's what
Yeah.
she did. She's a compelling spectacle. When she walks in the room as Elvira, you have no choice but to pay attention to her.
Yeah. And I think that's the way it should be done.
Hmm.
I'm
Bring back
like, it,
her host. Who's the new horror host? Because what happened? Joe Bob is almost, how old is Joe Bob? I think he's got to be in his 70s.
I want to say so. And I think that's funny about the first few seasons of The Last Drive-In. He had his natural hair, and then now that he's gotten more into the show, he started dyeing his hair. And
Yeah, I noticed that too. He's 71. And the other thing I really enjoy about Joe Bob is he turns stereotypes on their heads.
hmm,
He is from Dallas, Texas,
yes,
and
I love that he's Texan.
hmm and he's
I'm like,
highly.
I'm a sucker for anybody who's from Texas. I'm like Woody Harrelson,
Hmm.
Matthew McConaughey. He's actually from my hometown,
Hmm.
and
Beyonce
they
and
have
Meg Thee
this
Stallion.
at the entrance to my hometown. I kid you not, they have this huge tacky billboard right at the welcome sign, and I'm like, take that thing down. It's so embarrassing.
Hmm. Oh, I was saying Beyonce and Meg Thee Stallion too. That's why it was so funny. It's a side note. When people decided to get upset about Beyonce doing a country album, I'm like, she's literally from Houston, Texas. Can you be any more country? Like,
Well,
she
not
wanted to do country.
not even that. I don't remember her. Oh, now I remember the Grundlings. That was the comedy troupe.
Yeah, the Groundlings. Hmm.
Groundlings. And getting back to Beyonce, the Destiny's Child, I think at one point they all kind of went separate and made their own solo
Hmm.
albums. And one of the girls did do I want to say it was either a Christian album or it was a country album. I don't remember.
I think it might have been Michelle that did a Christian album. But
Hmm.
I remember the first time seeing Destiny Child with their original 4 members. The first
Hmm.
music video for Bugaboo, Beyonce has a cowboy hat on. Like, they
I don't
actually
remember
took
that.
her cowboy hat away and made her more into more pop. And then now she's kind of cycling back to, where I guess where some of her roots lie in. So, but I distracted myself by that side thought, and oh yeah, Joe Bob. I was saying how much I like how he throws stereotypes out of the window because he's a Texan and he's super educated. And
He really
unfortunately,
is.
yeah, in this country we have a stereotype that Southern people are not as educated as Northern people, which is completely false. Completely
I mean,
false.
there are some northern states where they have that same stereotype where they're like, oh, they're inbred or oh, they're
Oh no,
rednecks.
no, I don't mean that I don't mean that people thinking it is false. I'm thinking that it is false because having grown up in the Northeast, I have met hella ignorant ass people.
Yes.
Just because you're from the Northeast does not mean you're not ignorant as hell.
I still remember when Elvira had her movie marathon on Shutter. I'm like, I went
Mhm.
nuts over that.
Yes.
That one I actually stayed awake for.
Hmm. And I think some of her older episodes are available on Amazon Prime
Oh, I
of
need to
her
look those.
hosting different movies. Yeah.
No, actually, I was. I can't remember. She did a different version of her show.
Mm.
I can't remember the name of it right now. Something theater.
Hmm.
And I tried looking up, and I'm like, you can only buy like ripped versions of the DVDs.
Oh, they used to be on Amazon phones. I watched a couple of them. It was Theater Macabre, I think.
Yes, yes, that's the one. And I want to find it. I can't. I'm like, I don't even care if I have to pay an arm and a leg to get it on VHS. I was recently gifted a VCR, which was awesome
Hmm.
because I couldn't find one. Everything on Amazon is ridiculously overpriced.
Oh yeah. Tony said, "Did anyone know that Joe Bob was in Casino? He was. I
No,
did
I
not
didn't.
know that."
Mm-mm.
We also skipped a couple. Slipknot fan says, "Do you guys like the Amityville horror
Oh,
remake with
wrong one.
Ryan Reynolds? I thought that was genuinely scary in the cinema. I did
Uh,
too.
I liked the atmosphere. I liked Ryan Reynolds' muscles, but I wasn't really that into the movie.
I was actually creeped out by it. The original Amityville never scared me. I didn't think it was scary. Um, but the remake, especially the scenes where at the, what was it, 3:14 in the morning? It was sometime after 3 a.m. in the morning where the little boy would get up, and those scenes were really creepy to me.
Oh wow. No, I mean it was a good remake. I like it. I own a copy of it, and I feel embarrassed for saying because I'm really not a superficial person, but yes, I like how Ryan Reynolds looks in that movie.
Oh yeah, he was jacked in that. And he was jacked in Blade Trinity also. I
Hmm.
just couldn't help but notice.
Yes,
Um,
but the movie was so bad, I won't rewatch it.
Slipknot fan says, "I heard you mention Joe Bob Briggs a few times. I never knew who he was, but after looking up, I realized I've seen him before being interviewed on Friday the 13th DVD Extra. Yeah,
I don't remember that.
he's what I would call a horror scholar.
Yes, he's beyond icon. I'm
Hmm.
like, I half want to say he's written books. If not, then I wish he would.
Yep. And also, I've noticed about him over the years that even politically speaking, he has shown us that he's anti-racist,
Hmm.
anti-homophobic. He's very much
He's
defended people.
especially for his time. He's very forward
Yes,
thinking.
to be 71 years old, he's very, very forward thinking.
And I can appreciate that. It makes him more relatable instead of, oh, you're stuck in your time. Like, I still like you because you were part of my childhood. And
Hmm.
I'll forgive this because I really like you, but I don't like that about you.
Hmm. Exactly. Like what Tim Burton just did. Tim Burton, you could have just shut the hell up, but you didn't. I don't know if
Oh,
you heard,
gosh.
but Tim Burton recently said that black people are not his aesthetic. And I'm just like, why? You could,
You didn't
you could
have
have
to
just
say that. I'm
you
like,
could have just stayed shutting the hell up. You know that. Secondly, I looked it up. Uh, the costume designer on Beetlejuice is a woman, so is that your aesthetic? The writer of Beetlejuice is not him, and even some of the set designer said that he designed them after the cabinet of Dr. Caligari. So what aesthetic is it that you're claiming that's
yeah.
yours?
I'm like,
Oh,
I
you
like
weren't the
Tim
first person.
Burton,
Yeah,
but I don't know.
he didn't need to say that, and then he
No.
tried to correct by having Jenna Ortega it play on Beetlejuice, but you said what you said.
Oh, I thought he only used her because he also had her in Wednesday. So
Yeah,
I know
I
he likes
forgot.
to repeat actors. Like he has his own, he's like Scorsese. He has his own little group of people that he likes to put in almost
Hmm.
everything.
Yeah, this is true. He's also not the first person to be gothic. Like, dude, don't act like you invented the gothic aesthetic.
Well, he's not a goth. He never was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I would call him an outsider or an in-betweener. Like, he's not a normie, but he's not a goth. He's just in between.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess we should wrap it up.
Alrighty.
Did you guys have a good time in the comments? Because I had a good time.
I had a blast. I mean, I always love our conversations. I always have loads of fun.
Yeah, and I love how when I mention something, you're immediately knowledgeable about it. You're not like, who's that? Or what? Like, it's like we've had the same life experience. It's kind of cool to talk to someone without having to explain yourself to them. I always
Yes.
enjoy that.
I always appreciate that. Or we don't have like those, I wouldn't say awkward silences because they're not awkward, but it's kind of like, I don't always like it when people hit conversations. It's happened to me in other streams where both people kind of get quiet, like, what do I talk about now? And I'm like, we just bounce off of each other really well.
Yeah, I agree.
I missed one comment. In England, we had a horror movie presenter called Dr. Terror. He was an actor in demon makeup who was very gentlemanly. You should check out some of his movie introductions.
Oh, I'm writing it down, Dr. Terror. I'll look that up.
I screenshotted that.
Oh,
I need to learn to sit down for these streams with pencil and paper, especially when you guys, really go off with the movie recommendations. I love it when you guys do that.
we used to also have local movie presenters here in the U.S. In Connecticut and Massachusetts, you hear something rattling in the back. I'm plugging my computer in because it's a low battery. But we had one that used to have a pink afro and a lab coat, and he was named Dr. Atomic.
Well,
he had rubber gloves too. He had the type of rubber gloves that you wash dishes with, not perform surgery with.
Oh gosh.
Funny. I wish I could find a video of Dr. Atomic introducing a movie, but somebody would have to have that on a VHS and upload it to YouTube or something.
I think that's how Elvira started. She was on local TV, and then she later got picked up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, nowadays, if you're a YouTube host, we're kind of like the modern day equivalent of presenters, just not quite though.
I'm going to look up, I'm going to look up Dr. Terror. With that, let's give our final thoughts on the substance. I think everybody that is a horror fan should watch it so that we get more movies like this greenlit. I want to be very successful.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed every moment of it. To me, it didn't feel like there was a lag. I mean, I hate it when second act or third act slows down and then it's kind of like I'm ready for this movie to be over. I didn't have that at all. But what do you call it? It escalates gradually, and then by the time you hit the end, it's kind of like, how did I get here?
It goes off the rails in the best way.
Oh, Slipknot says there's a 30-minute video about him, Dr. Terror. But yeah, I mean, I loved this movie. I haven't seen a movie this good in years. And I mean, for someone who rarely buys movies now and saying I want to own a copy of this, I mean, especially someone who doesn't watch modern film very often, I think very highly of it. I mean, it's an intelligent film, and it takes these things which should be very laughable moments, but they're played seriously, and I love that about it.
I do too. I'm looking more forward to this director's work as well. Oh, I should say writer director. She wrote and directed this.
Oh, even better. Yeah, those movies come off as different too. I don't know. I should look her up. I didn't think to.
Check out her first movie, Revenge, which I believe it's still available on Shudder. It might also be on. Let me see if it's on anything else, because sometimes things get also available on Tubi and stuff. Let's look up Revenge. It's from 2017. It says it's streaming on AMC Plus, but I think it is also still on Shudder because AMC owns Shudder. Yeah, it's still on Shudder.
Yeah, they do. They do those crossover episodes where Joe Bob will present episodes of The Walking Dead, and I'm like, no, get out of here.
Did she write that one too, or did she just direct it? Let me see. No, she wrote it and directed too. Coralie Fargate.
Hmm.
Is she? I wonder. Is she from the U.S. or is she from? Because looking at her
That doesn't
surname,
sound like an American name.
yeah, I'm wondering if she's from France. Yeah, born in 1976 in Paris, France.
That's why.
Ah, she's Gen X. All right, we're coming
Even better.
through. That's how I know she grew up watching what we grew up watching. I
Yeah.
love that.
Well, I guess that's probably where we noticed those notes in the references, like The Fly and Society and all that stuff. Not that a modern day director couldn't do that. I've noticed young people these days are into retro, and I'm like, that was going on when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I grew up with being into retro stuff, and I remember my brothers and sisters saying the same thing, like that was going on when I was a kid.
As I'm looking at her picture on IMDb, she kind of looks like if Daria's friend Jane was real.
Hmm.
She looks just like that, even down to the little black combat boots, which I don't know if it's just a thing of our generation, but I feel like most Gen X women have a pair of black combat boots.
Yes, I've gone through several pair. Even I even have kind of like these 4-inch boots, which
Hmm.
have kind of like a patent leather look, which and they have like those metal closings that you wrap the laces around.
Hmm. I have just regular combat boots. They kind of look a little bit like Doc Martens, but a little bit more comfortable than what Doc Martens were. I mean,
Yeah,
comfortable in
Doc
that they're
Martens.
lighter. Doc
Doc
Martens are
Martens
very
always
heavy.
dug into my heel. I didn't like that.
Yeah, yeah. I never found them comfortable. So they look like Doc Martens, but they're not Doc Martens. And
But
I think
I do kick myself over having gotten rid of my pair of Doc Martens. I mean, like they were cracked, and the back of them, the leather was already coming off from the way I would pull my boots off. But they were like white patent leather with black soles, and I'm like,
oh,
and they were the knee length. I'm like, they were so awesome, and I just hate that I got rid of them. But it's because the white started to yellow on me, and I'm like, I can't wear these.
hmm, yeah. I think this has got to be right. This is just fair. Like when they wear out, I just get another pair. I'm like that with my Converse too. I have this pair of black and white Converse sneakers. I've
Hmm.
been wearing like the same pair since I was 19 years old. When they wear out, I just get another pair that's identical to the last pair because they haven't changed them in like
Hmm.
I think 60 years. I think that style of Converse sneaker actually goes back to like 1965 or something.
Oh, and Slipknot says going to plug Killer's 1996 one more time. I'm like, it's a PSA at this time. I'm just going to vote you, and I should just do a
Yes,
discussion on that one.
yes. I think let's do that. Killers 1996. Let me see where it's streaming. It's on Tubi and Freevee. Okay, that sounds like a
Really,
winner.
I can
All
totally
right.
watch that one.
All right. So, and it's also on Prime Video. So if you want to watch it
Nice,
without commercials, it's on Prime. Um,
totally.
so with that, I will say good afternoon because I'm gonna jump in the shower because I feel like I'm getting hives. I just started itching and
Oh,
it's driving me crazy.
yeah,
It happens sometimes. So I'm gonna probably have a shower and then rubbing alcohol with myself to stop the hives.
yeah, never fun.
Mhm. Well, thank you guys for coming through. I'm guessing our next movie that we'll be discussing will be The Killers 1996. If after we watch it, it reminds us of something else, maybe we'll come up with a second movie to discuss as well as Killers.
Yeah,
Because it's the first time watch for me, I can't. Well, the last one I couldn't pick I just lucked up in picking a movie that actually matched with the movie that Kara picked.
yeah.
Um,
It said the same thing. It felt like we planned it, but we so didn't. It was very spontaneous.
mhm. So we'll definitely check this one out. All right. We will see you next time. Bye bye.
All right. So as always, we will talk to you later. And that is all we have for you. I said it backwards, but have a good afternoon. Goodbye, everybody.